You had numbers out, results early this month, and you had talked about the overall economic picture being cloudy. That's probably the understatement of the year. Do you have any more clarity?
I think we are very, very happy Thanksgiving to you and to your viewers. November was better than October, which was better than September. So with each passing month, we seem to be trending towards normalcy. But one eye on the future would suggest that second waves and multiple different scenarios can make things more complicated. But the way things stand right now, we can say that most of our base business is back to where it was a year ago.
So, Ashish, what about your customers? Do you get a sense of more confidence emanating from them at the moment, or even a sense that things are slowly, very slowly, coming back to normality?
Last few weeks, I've started my travel schedule again. I'm back on the road, meeting customers in person, starting to visit plants, starting to see activity that is going on. And in general, it feels like there's a sense of optimism. All our core sectors where our customers are, whether it be steel, cement, textiles, other manufacturing industries, capacity utilization is up. Most of them have had very good profitability in September and October because costs were down, demand picked up, so the profits were very good. Almost all our customers are thinking of small to medium capital projects back again and starting to open up the checkbooks.
So, I mean, that brings me to the other point. I mean, you mentioned those industry groups. Are there any particular ones that you're seeing rebounding faster than others?
So the first ones to rebound were, of course, the FMCG group, pharma, chemicals, food. Food never really slowed down. After that, in the last 2 months, we have had cement starting to pick up, steel picking up. So it's now a lot more broad-based. What I can say is that the projects where customers are starting to invest in first are those that have got relatively shorter paybacks, 1 to 3 year paybacks. And interestingly, a significant portion of those relate to sustainability. So we can see the world starting to converge around careful with cash, give me a quick payback, and sustainability is important even in this environment.
I mean, with the most severe downturn in Indian history, no doubt people weren't that bothered about environmental concerns. But do you see in a post-pandemic world that there is an environmental imperative?
Right. Absolutely. I think India is no different in that sense than the rest of the world. India was practically shut down for 2 months, as you can see from the numbers, but the recovery overall has been truly V-shaped. Yeah, the manufacturing index is in the last month was one of the highest we have seen in the last few years. There is actually an expectation that we may grow this quarter. The numbers will be available soon, so we will see what the numbers show. But so if you take some of the COVID uncertainty out, the agenda, which is the long-term agenda around managing energy availability with energy sustainability, making sure that as our environmental norms around water, around air pollution get stronger and stronger, industries are trying to figure out how do they continue to fund their growth, but taking care of the environment. So the sustainability agenda is very, very real for companies in India right now.
Yeah, so Ashish, the reason why I asked that question is you do have one of your products being anti-pollution equipment used in coal-fired power stations here. Now, the thing is, that is running quite a lot behind target. So what are the specific challenges you're facing there?
So those particular ones are specifically related to a product category called FGDs. And FGDs go in large thermal power plants to significantly reduce pollution out there. a good chunk of these projects are now going through their final approval cycle because there has been a cost change which has happened on these projects. And the cost change is related to some of the larger geopolitical issues that are happening in India, with issues relating to our neighbors, where some of the imports that come in from China are under some amount of restrictions. So these projects are being reevaluated. In some cases, the customers have been looking to find ways to push these projects out ever so slightly. But the environmental norms, which India has committed to, and these are straight coming from the Supreme Court itself. So while there may be a bit of a push out for 6 months, maybe these projects will come sooner or later.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you look at coal. A lot of countries are moving away from coal. You know, give us your views on that and whether that provides you with, of course, a business opportunity to be pushing your products in the few places where that is not the case, or while it is the case that people need cleaner emissions from coal-fired power stations. Do you have to make a greater push overseas, in your view?
So we have to make a big push overseas, but we have to make a big push overseas not because we are chasing coal or thermal. If anything, we do not expect, even in India, a big thermal set of new plants coming up by any means. Our entire portfolio right now is more targeted towards how do you make clean coal, which is cleaner environment, coal gasification. How do you improve efficiency of the current plants, reduce environmental norms, improve the water that is generated by as wastewater in many of these plants. So in that sense, for India as such, yeah, because coal is such a big part of India's energy system, we cannot wish coal to go away tomorrow. But the expectation that whatever coal we use continues to be cleaner, continues to be more amenable to the environment. And meanwhile, waste to energy as an example, where we are taking waste heat recovery solutions, taking municipal solid waste, bio-waste, converting that to energy, are all big applications that not just Thermax, the larger ecosystem in India is focused
on. And also, Ashish, looking at what's going on, you know, are you going to be growing the business purely from an organic standpoint, or do you see acquisitions out there, bolt-on or even transformative here? What are you looking at in terms of growth?
Look, we are looking at growth, and we are looking at all options. M&A is part of the valuation scheme, not just now, but it is always. I think this move to that I think clean tech by its definition is high tech, which means companies like Thermax, we will all have to figure out what portions of this new high tech value chain can come from Thermax, which portions do we need to partner for. And those partnerships could come in the form of M&A. Those partnerships could come in terms of technology licensing arrangements, geographic partnerships. So there's a whole host of partnerships that we are looking at. The one thing we will look to avoid is do something really big, which will put the company in a very different form or fashion from a cash perspective or what we stand for as a company. So we will look to do accretive additions, accretive partnerships, but that are relatively small and easily digestible. But M&A is very much part of what we are looking at right now.
Absolutely, and perhaps you need some critical mass here as well if you're going to take advantage of a new administration in the US, which is pushing towards a cleaner energy and also, of course, more environmental concerns being addressed, and that is an opportunity, of course.
International markets, US, if anything, is one of our fastest growing markets. We have a range of specialty chemicals where we provide advanced resins for a variety of different applications. And the biggest market we've had for that is the US. We have got absorption chillers, which are chillers that can use waste heat and use that heat to drive your chilling solutions. The biggest market for some of those products is also the US. It's always been a very stable a growth market for a company like Thermax, and we are ever more excited at the potential for the future as well.